Welcome to the Podcast Discovery Show, the podcast about other podcasts, where each week we have a book club style discussion about a podcast. And at the end of the episode, we're going to bring you a brand new podcast for you to go out and listen to. We'll come back next week and talk about that one. I'm Josh.
I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach. And this week, we are talking about The Great Debates, where hosts Steve Healy and Dave King debate the great issues of the day, moderated by Dan Medina. And this episode is their holiday special from Season 3, Episode 9. And the co-hosts, or the co-debaters, I guess, are BJ Novak and John Mayer.
They're masters at debating.
They are. What did you guys think?
I mean, the whole time I was listening to this podcast, I was just thinking what master debaters they are.
They're such masters at debating.
I mean, I was master debating in my head. So I love this podcast. It hits on a lot of things I really like of arguing over things that ultimately are not important, but taking hardline stances on things is always great.
Yeah, it's a fun thing.
I love also the fact that they're exploring the nuances of each topic on both sides. So it's not just, hey, this is bad and this is good. It's here's why it could be bad or here's why it could be good. And I love them going into the details and the nitty gritty. And by the end of most of them, you're like, I can see both sides here.
Yeah, I do feel like they were pretty effective.
I will have to say, I did like that there weren't like, this is the winner and this is the loser every single time.
Yeah.
They kind of left it loose, you know what I mean? Kind of like, it's fun. It's more fun. They still had the conversations and their stances, but it wasn't like, okay, you win, you lose.
Yeah, what they care about is a spirited debate.
Yeah.
They want to have logic on each side of sometimes ridiculous premises. And I also really enjoyed in this show that they're all very qualified for some of the debate topics they had.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you had, there's 3 writers that are very successful, and then there's a very successful musician, and a lot of these topics played into one of those things or the other.
Music or writing or
and so it came down to they were kind of effective at what they were debating.
Yeah.
And you think like, oh, John Mayer and BJ Novak and a couple writers arguing about things, but they did put like effort into their arguments. It wasn't just kind of like, let's BS on the mic. They were debating.
And what I liked about the format is that you wouldn't know, the only person that would know what the debate was about was the one delivering it. But the other people had to, even if they didn't believe in the stance, defend it like they believed in it. And that's the fun of it, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I found this out over time is that if you bring up something that you give people the option to take sides, they always will. Even if, like, when you initially bring it up, they're like, I don't care. When people start talking about it, as soon as people start talking about it and building the stance, people are like, oh, no, I'm taking this side. And you heard that a couple times in this episode where they're like, I'm on this side. And they're like, no, I'm switching. I'm going to the other side. I firmly believe X, Y, Z. So I love that they were able to kind of change their mind and take different stances and play devil's advocate, and all that stuff is great. And this podcast really spoke to me because of kind of 2 key things. One, it's all gray. There's no winner or loser. There's always that they're kind of both right and they're both wrong. There's value on both sides. And the fact that discuss things. It doesn't have to be people on opposite ends of the spectrum discussing something, want to kill each other and hate each other and have no positive discourse. I wish that we could have that type of discourse on majority of things across the board, and there should be more people having those discussions. And so this podcast really just hits a lot of boxes on things that I think are important and valuable things in life in general, and they make it super fun and super goofy. And I mean, BJ Novak and John Mayer, 2 people that are phenomenal in the work that they've put out and could not be more different people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think my favorite debate that they had, and it was because of where they come from, was the one about the EGOTs. The like which combination would be a triple in the You explain it better because it's I don't even.
So each of the categories in EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Yeah.
Each one of those is one of the potential things that you could hit in a cycle in baseball. So one's a single, one's a double, one's a triple, one's a home run. How would you categorize those?
Yeah.
in that term.
And it's funny because that was actually the least interesting conversation to me.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't care about it at all.
I normally wouldn't, but because of where they came from, I thought it was really interesting and kind of, I don't know, it opened up their opinions on, and I don't know, I kind of saw behind the curtain a little bit about, John Mayer's got however many he said he got, and he was saying like, this is the easiest one to get. And I felt like there was a little bit of like...
No, Emmys were the easiest. Grammys were double. But yeah, no, Emmys are a lot easier because there's also like daytime Emmys and like they give out a ton of Emmys. And that's why I think they started to like categorize. It's how difficult is it to get each of these awards. But you had somebody who has a bunch of Grammys. I'm pretty sure the other 3 writers probably have Emmys. Mm-hmm. And so you're talking to people who are kind of in that realm. I don't think any of them had done anything as far as like the Oscar Tony category. Tony is the one.
What's Tony?
That's a Broadway award.
Okay.
So it's a live stage award.
And someone said that was one. Someone said that was the triple because it's like it's more rare. Like a home run is more valuable. So they said like the Oscar was the home run. It's more valuable. But the Tony, it's more rare to get a triple than it is to get a home run.
It is.
And so that's why they said the Tony was the triple because it's harder to get.
Them debating it,
but it's not as valuable.
I thought was fairly intriguing.
I like this segment with Kirk because like it was interesting to hear their perspectives on it. Like John Mayer talking about how he thinks that an Oscar is worth 2.5 Grammys,
right?
And all of that. They just think differently about it because it's something that they have, not something that's like theoretical.
And it was funny because like you can tell that, and I think that's just the nature of the beast. Is like the one that you kind of specialize in, you feel like it's a little bit easier than the one that the other person's. You're like, you know what I mean? A little bit of self-deprecation in a way.
And that's my favorite topic was kind of on that same line. And I don't think it was actually one of their debates. I think this was the one, I think they called it like a top 'em up. Is that what it was?
Yeah. At the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, and they were talking about it, or it could have just been they were arguing in between debates because that also happened, which I get it. That makes perfect sense. But they were talking about what is rock and roll.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of tangential to one of them. And so, but everybody was arguing against John Mayer. Out of that whole group, John Mayer,
which is pretty funny,
is the rock and roll guy.
Yeah.
And they were all against him.
I wouldn't even consider John Mayer super rock and roll.
I mean, like Continuum era, like, and especially
blues.
I know, but blues is the foundation for rock and roll.
I wouldn't consider John Mayer rock and roll.
I don't want to get into this. I still think that
he's in the at least in the field that rock and roll is in, which is music.
Do you consider Stevie Ray Vaughan rock and roll?
Yes.
Blues.
He's more rock and roll than John Mayer by far.
Based on
rock and roll is so
everything
weird,
he ever
man.
did.
If you look at different eras of rock and roll, like what we consider rock and roll now is completely different from what
John Mayer's too safe.
And that's what John Mayer and them were disagreeing about.
This is what they were arguing about.
Right.
Is the fact that John Mayer's definition of rock and roll was in a certain era, which was considered rock and roll.
Yeah.
And theirs was too, but it didn't really.
Yeah, no.
Rock and roll is very weird.
Everybody was arguing with him about essentially 80s rock and roll. 80s, 90s, that's what they were talking about. And like maybe late 70s, you know what I mean? But if you go beyond like earlier than that, rock and roll as they were defining it of like, oh, like F the man, like I'm going to do what I want and forget all, that's not what rock and roll was.
When I think rock and roll, I'm never going to say John Mayer in top 5 in rock and roll.
Well, we're not talking about that anymore.
No,
we're talking about what rock and roll is.
Yeah, no.
But I'm saying my whole point is like it's so fluid, and I think everyone has a different understanding of what they believe rock and roll is and what classifies as rock and roll.
This disagreement actually kind of, I don't know, is the epitome of what the disagreement was on the show.
It is exactly what they were talking about.
It's extremely nuanced when you start looking at, okay, how do you define rock and roll? What's rock and roll? Because you have 50 to 70 years of rock and roll music that's been defined differently throughout time, and the principles and ethos of rock and roll has been rapidly changing throughout time.
Play the Beatles next to Foo Fighters, and I mean they're a little bit different, guys. They're just a little bit different.
Yep.
And I think that was probably John Mayer's kind of premise on this is like that was a specific thing that you were referring to, that this is rock and roll to throw a TV out the window. You see what I mean? Where it's been much more dynamic than that throughout time. And so, but I just like that entire premise because literally it was everybody in the room versus John Mayer.
Yep.
The only musician in the room.
Yep.
And so it was a cool thing. You know, it was fun. And I mean, he liked it. As soon as they were like, okay, we're all going to argue against you, he's like, okay, let's go. And so it is interesting to hear. And I thought that he did a great job debating. I thought BJ Novak did too. It's really fun to have these kind of, it essentially comes down to thought experiments. You know, they're going through and they're just trying to work out logically how they feel. And so it's a fun thing to listen to.
So my favorite discussion was the Christmas tree. Of if you're a single person with a Christmas tree, it's the most sad thing ever. I'm fully on board that is sad. And I think their kind of discussion on if you're there by yourself and you see the Christmas tree, and typically Christmas is a family thing, and every time you see it, it reminds you of, hey, I'm alone, then yeah. But change your frame of mind of every time you see it, it reminds you of your family and it's warming. You got the complete opposite. So
based off that, I felt the same way. Whereas like I was going back and forth the whole time.
Yeah,
right. With every argument, I was like, oh yeah, I can see it as just being nice. Oh man, that is really sad.
Yeah,
it's a matter of perspective on that argument.
And I mean, they also like the side of this is sad made it very sad. It's like, oh, here's an older man, his entire family's dead, and he has a Christmas tree. But what if it's Christmas time and you walk into somebody's house and there's nothing? Just like same sad person, same sad story, no Christmas tree. Is that more or less sad than there being a Christmas tree there?
Less.
How?
Because that person didn't go out and buy a Christmas tree and decorate it for themselves.
Well, it feels like they put effort in, and they kind of they're festive.
They've given up to the point where they don't even want a tree.
It's not giving up. They just haven't gone out of their way to go get a tree for themselves.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. They haven't. That's what I'm saying. In general, they're putting forth an effort to get something festive and holiday themed in their house. And so, by not having anything, is that sadder?
No, it's way sadder. If you have imagine this, a guy with zero family. No one cares about the guy. He's literally completely alone, retired, basically just lives in his house by himself. What is Christmas to him?
Whatever he makes it.
Right. And so if he doesn't buy a tree and instead just buys something fun for himself and goes on about his day, that's fine.
What if he doesn't buy a tree and he just sits in his empty room and cries?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all about the nuances of each individual situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
On Zach's point, I kind of feel the same way. It's like if he had a family his whole life and that was their tradition to put the tree up and everything else, and him doing that every year
in remembrance of them is one thing.
Would be like continuing the tradition. I feel like that's a good thing. But if you put it the way you just put it, that's horribly sad.
That's what I'm saying. It all got
it's
framed.
all about perspective.
Yeah, it all got framed in a certain way. And it's like one's really sad and then one's strangely beautiful. That's like, oh, even though there's no reason that he would have to do this. Like he doesn't have his family that's like, okay, let's put up the tree. He still does it because he still has a Christmas spirit. Even against all odds.
Here's the other problem, and here's some perspective for the three of us. You two are more Christmas files than I am.
Josh just wants for Christmas to be gone.
Yep. Yes. So that brings me to my
that was John Mayer's
that brings
song.
me to my debate.
Josh.
That brings me to my debate. You guys ready for this?
All right, let's hear it.
Christmas does not exist until after Thanksgiving has come and gone.
I can tell you right now, I will be moderating this because Kirk's Christmas tree is up right now. So this has to be.
I'm telling you, in no realm of sanity should Christmas exist until Thanksgiving has come and gone.
Josh, Christmas lives in my heart 365 days a year.
And that's beautiful. Again, that's my whole point. It's not special.
And you can't take it from me.
It's not special. It's like, okay, think of it this way.
So your kid's not special because he's around you 365 days a year. You see him every day, so he's not special no more.
So you're saying Christmas is as special to you as your children are?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just because you see something every single day, which is not what you see as Christmas, but that doesn't mean it's not special anymore.
What I'm saying is Thanksgiving is special, and it's being interloped on by Christmas because people start to put up wreaths and Christmas trees before Halloween sometimes, which is absolutely
Thanksgiving is
absurd.
a travesty.
Thanksgiving's amazing.
That is
it's
a hard line
family.
stance right there.
It's about family.
I guess that's a different debate, huh?
And being thankful for what you have, where Christmas is about consumerism.
I feel like that's getting framed a little bit. Doesn't have to be.
Thanksgiving is not about consumerism.
Thanksgiving's about eating with the Indians.
Black Friday the day after Thanksgiving?
After Thanksgiving, yeah, when Christmas starts. Black Friday is the beginning of Christmas season. That is my whole point. As soon as Thanksgiving is gone, people are like, let me just rack up the credit card bills. Let me just go buy, because it's Christmas season. It's buying season. It's consumerism season. It's gross. So let's keep that in December and let Thanksgiving be about family and being thankful for the things we have, not for consumerism and all the things we want to buy. I don't want to hear a Christmas song. I don't want to see a Christmas decoration until after Thanksgiving's gone. After Thanksgiving, I love it because here's the thing. We've got this 30-day window.
For Josh, Christmas is about consumerism. For me, Christmas is about Jesus.
That doesn't make it better for me, to be honest. I mean, it's about consumerism and Jesus. Like, both of those things can give me things to argue against. But here's my whole point. After Thanksgiving's gone, then you have this 25 to 30-day window where it is magical, where it's like there's a feeling in the air. People are kind of excited. They're going to get some cool stuff for Christmas. Everyone's going to see their family. They're going to have some time off from work, and they're going to be able to recharge. It's the end of the year. You're going to start a new year. There's this renewal. Like, there's all of these really cool things going around right around the same time as Christmas, and it's amazing. There is a really cool energy in the air.
Exactly.
But
what about if you extend that just a little bit?
no, it dilutes it.
It doesn't.
It
though.
dilutes it, and it poisons it, and it makes it not as potent as it should be. Here's the thing. If you
But
wait...
does it?
Yes.
But why?
All right.
But how?
Think of it this way. Christmas is whiskey, all right? If you have a glass of whiskey with a little bit of ice in it, it's fantastic. But if you have a drop of whiskey in a gallon of water, that's not whiskey anymore. That's what you're doing to Christmas.
What if
That is the dumbest analogy I've ever heard.
what if he's just having 2 glasses of whiskey?
He's not having 2 glasses of whiskey because it's diluted.
I'm just having 2 glasses of whiskey with a little bit of ice.
No. It's absolutely a travesty that people keep trying to extend out Christmas, because do you know who's really pushing that narrative and who's making everyone start thinking about Christmas early? Walmart, Target, Amazon. All of the people selling us things for Christmas are the ones that start saying,
I will
it's
agree
Christmas time.
that there are more advertisements earlier than there used to be, but
because
I will
it's about
not-
consumerism
But
and generating
unfortunately,
money.
I will not agree with you on your part about that. We've been doing that since way before that was a thing.
Here's my thought on this, and I probably shouldn't. I'm just going to throw it in. If Christmas is being framed as it's consumerism, then you could very easily say that Thanksgiving is gluttony and football.
Yeah. I don't watch football on Thanksgiving.
What I'm saying is we're talking general population, like just broad strokes categorizing things. I don't think that is required that you be consumerist to enjoy Christmas.
What I'm saying is people have taken something special and then they're bastard.
Some people.
People have taken something special, which is the Christmas season, which is a thing where globally people have come together. In world wars, people were coming together around Christmas and calling ceasefires.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is a very special thing there.
Right.
But we're bastardizing it and we're turning it into consumerism, and we're dragging it through a 3 to 6 month time period, or 12 months if you're Kirk, and making it not special.
12 months? Oh, yeah, because he's in my heart. Yeah.
Always.
It's not special at that point. Like,
I have the Holy Spirit and Christmas in my heart.
it's not special at that point, and you're diluting what Christmas means. Like, let it be potent, let it be magical, let it be everything that it should and can be for those 30 days. Don't drag it out. That's just showing, like, it's almost like when you tell your kid, like, hey, you got to stop playing video games, you got to go to bed, and they're like, no, I got to keep playing for 5 more minutes. That's how it feels to me. But it's adults doing this, starting on Halloween.
I think I'm going to not be able to pick a side on this because it seems like a very personal distinction. It seems like, even based on your final statement, that that's how it feels to you, and that's not how it feels to Kirk. And
That's what I was going to say, is like, you can't really tell me how I feel, and I can't really tell you how you feel.
No, and first of all, I get it, because literally, I think it was midnight Halloween, Walmart's putting up Christmas trees. But you call that consumerism. Typically, stores do things that people want to buy. People are buying Christmas trees immediately.
Wrong.
Wrong?
Wrong. People's buying
This is a new debate.
people's buying habits are driven by marketing. We did a whole podcast on this when we talked about the guy creating the new different colors of cars. People didn't know they wanted a blue car until people told them they wanted a blue car.
I'm just saying that, like, if people didn't want to hear Christmas music, they'd turn it off.
Right. But here's the thing. they start seeing Christmas from all of these people telling them they need to have Christmas now. They start selling things, and then all of a sudden, it's people are playing
What
Christmas
I'm saying
music.
is, if the whole premise is that it's magical and it feels magical, what if it feels magical to them?
But it's not that. It may feel magical to them. That's fine, but it's
Well,
all.
what I'm saying is, if it feels magical to them, then it feels magical to them.
They're diluting what Christmas is.
In your mind,
No,
Yeah.
in reality.
not necessarily. Not
I
if they
mean-
want 2 months instead of one.
I mean, what if for Halloween we just trick or treated for a couple of months? Then,
No.
Then-
Are you saying people wouldn't want to do that?
then on Halloween night, guess how many people are going to be out there? 10% or less.
Is that bad?
Yes, because that's the whole that's the whole thing with Halloween.
I would rather do it that way.
Everyone goes out with their families. It's a whole thing. The communities come together. You have a whole thing.
I mean, first
It's
of all, I
diluted.
think there's Halloween stuff going on for like a full month before Halloween. Like costumes and stuff come out.
Yeah, they start selling
Early.
costumes so people can plan and be prepared. But that's the whole thing.
Pushing that consumerism.
That's-
People are Halloween's
Halloween is all
consumerism too.
consumerism.
It is. It
Do you
absolutely
realize?
is.
Do you realize that Party City is like a Halloween store year round? That is sick, man. That is sick. There are costumes in there all year.
For parties.
That is sick. No, there's like horror parties all the time.
Yeah.
There's like a whole section just for Halloween all the
I mean,
time,
you
all
guys-
year long.
You guys are wrong. Y'all can both take whatever stance you want, but y'all are both Christmas files, so there's no way.
I mean, I have not listened to any Christmas music.
I listen to Christmas music in the shower.
right.
I'm
That's
just
what
saying,
I'm saying.
like, you don't group me. Once again, you're broad stroke painting things here. You call me a Christmas file. Yeah, I like Christmas. I'm just saying that it's kind of a personal distinction. I'm not listening to Christmas music right now because for me, it is also, I wait until after Thanksgiving, but that was our family tradition.
And I'm just saying, when people put Christmas things out in your office or play Christmas music on the radio or when you go into a store, they're forcing that on you, and it's
does not
diluting
bother
what
me.
Christmas is.
It's a little bit cool outside, and I'm going to Disney tomorrow where they have all the Christmas lights and stuff up, and I'm
Next
so
topic.
excited.
I'm done with this. Next topic.
I'm so excited to celebrate Christmas at Disney tomorrow with my kiddies.
Here, I'll break this up because I got a ridiculous one for you. Peanut butter is sweet hummus. What is hummus? It is ground legumes that are seasoned. Mm-hmm. What is peanut butter? Ground legumes that are seasoned.
Legumes.
Legume.
Okay. So I've got some hummus. I sprinkle some sweetener on it. It does not turn into peanut butter.
That is not my point.
That is a travesty, is what that makes.
No,
so it's
I
not
didn't say-
it's not just sweet hummus. It is a categorically different food because it's made from a different legume. That's like saying,
No. Hummus is not required to be chickpeas.
what's it made out of then?
It can be a lot of different
All right,
beans.
define hummus for me.
I just did. Ground legumes that are seasoned.
Okay. So you're saying that peanut butter is sweet hummus.
Yeah.
I mean, if you define hummus that way, then yeah.
That's not how I define hummus. That's how hummus is defined.
Yeah. It's fine. Then yeah.
Hey, I won.
Yeah, you played word games and won. Sweet.
That was quick.
That's not a word game. Yeah, it is. That's literally exactly what I said.
All right, we're going to make my argument a three-way argument. So Thanksgiving's coming up. So my question is this: ham, turkey, or both? I say both.
Is it like our preference or is there one that's tied to Thanksgiving?
One that has to be at every Thanksgiving
Okay.
dinner.
If it has to be at Thanksgiving, it's turkey for me.
So that means Josh, you're ham.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about if it has to be if it's traditionally Thanksgiving or which I like better, are two very different conversations. Ham is way better than turkey. Turkey is
Give us your argument
all right,
then.
opening statement. Turkey is traditionally Thanksgiving, so it needs to be there. However, turkey is a travesty of a meat, and there's no reason anyone should be eating turkey because it's garbage. Ham is significantly better in every single way. So unless you're Orthodox Jewish or Muslim and you can't eat pork, there's no reason to eat turkey.
That's at least that's a small percentage of the population.
I mean, I'm not either of those, so there's no reason I would ever want to eat turkey over any other meat.
I mean, I will say that
Except for turkey legs.
turkey legs are
Turkey
amazing.
legs get a pass.
Yeah.
So I think that you have to have room for everybody. This is America, and we're inclusive, and we have to give everybody an option. There are some people that don't believe that there's enough room in your tummy for pork and the Holy Spirit.
I don't
So
So where's the option for the vegetarians?
Tofurkey.
Oh, that's the stuffing.
The stuffing. There's vegetables there usually. Sometimes cranberry sauce.
I guess you can't put like chicken stock in it like you normally do.
I know. You can't make it delicious. You just have to eat bread.
What about vegans?
Bread.
I mean,
They don't celebrate Thanksgiving, let's be honest.
well, typically vegans don't want to
I'm
see
kidding, I'm
all of that
kidding.
meat and don't want to be around a bunch of meat because typically vegans are in it for emotional reasons of like, hey, we're slaughtering a bunch of animals and our food chain is gross and nasty. So they probably don't want to be around it in general. So is it for everyone or is it just for your traditional views of whether you like turkey or ham?
So you give the option of a turkey so that those that have reasons not to eat ham still have an option.
Mm-hmm.
But you still give ham because it tastes much better. And
We're on the same page there.
yeah, so I kind of agree with you there, except for what about those people that don't really like the way turkey tastes? Or those that are religiously not able to eat ham on Thanksgiving?
No,
Literally
I mean,
anything else. There's usually a massive surplus of food. Back to Zach's earlier point, Thanksgiving is typically the holiday of gluttony, of like, we're going to have more food than we have any right to have.
No, and that's why I like watching football. It's because I eat way too much Thanksgiving food and then I take a nap while football's on.
Right. Yeah, I love watching football when I'm not watching it.
Yeah, same. And basically,
That's the reason I watch football.
at Thanksgiving, I feel like a turkey is required because literally the President of the United States pardons a turkey every year. I feel like it's part of it, but
That kind of means like, hey, let's pardon the turkey for our Thanksgiving party and be like the president.
no, it's a joke.
You're a
it's
shill for
big turkey.
big turkey.
Big
for
turkey.
Big, you
It's
are a
big
shill
turkey.
for big butterball.
Big butterball. No, but
You are a cog in the machine.
my personal preference is I do both. Like, because first of all, I feel like turkey most of the time, unless like I've had some fried turkeys that are like spicy, it's on point. But in general, my favorite part of turkey at Thanksgiving is you get some turkey, you get some stuffing, you get some cranberry sauce, all on one forkful, and you eat that, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
And the leftover turkey sandwiches with all that stuff, on point.
Yeah, but you
Turkey's-
get your rich aunt to get that honey baked ham, and they bring it to, and you're like, "Good God, where has this been
But
all year?"
I'll also say this for Thanksgiving: you can get honey baked ham all year.
Turkey is inedible without cranberry sauce.
Good point.
I don't
But
know
you
if
only
that's
see
accurate.
your rich aunt once a year. That's the only time you can
So
afford
let me-
honey baked
So
ham.
it's a scarcity, like a money issue.
let me clarify what Zach just said as well. We're taking the meat from a slaughtered turkey, which is an animal that was a bird, and the meat from a slaughtered pig, which is an animal that is a pig.
Thank you for that clarity.
And I just got this visual representation. You've got this pen in your backyard. You got a turkey and you got a pig. You go cut both of their throats, clean them, cook them, kill them, do the whole thing.
Okay.
Not in that order necessarily. You probably
with that.
kill them, clean them, cook them.
Yeah, I think I heard cook 'em pretty early in that list. Very messed up.
Cook them, dead kill them,
Then you take their body meat.
eat them, clean them.
Then you take their body meat.
Are you converting to veganism right now, like mid conversation?
Then you take their body meat. You mush them together. Eat it in one bite.
I was gonna say
That's savage.
guys. Did we just become best friends for one thing? And the second thing, did we just invent like the new turducken, but it's turkey and ham together?
Turkey and ham together? I don't know.
What
I
would
mean,
that be called?
tam.
Tam.
Herky.
Or tiggy.
Harky.
Um,
No, I just feel like you have less opportunities because I mean the only other time you get turkey really is like turkey legs at a festival or like a fair, and then
Or Disney.
porky.
Come on.
yeah, or Disney.
Torque.
But other than that, like I feel like it's kind of to me that's like a holiday thing. You know, it's like a Thanksgiving thing. That's the turkey time.
I mean, it's got to
I
be
think
there
actually
from.
is something behind the whole big butterball idea because turkey does kind of suck except for the turkey legs. Unless it's deep fried, done exactly perfectly.
Or slathered in gravy.
I do. This does kind of personally challenge me to make turkey that's good because I also wonder if people just aren't cooking it well.
I would assume 99% of turkey that I've ever had in my life is just terribly prepared. and it's not
that's
as
what
bad
I
as
wonder
it
because like
tastes.
you would think turkey tastes like turkey deli meat tastes good because you can literally put any seasoning on it.
Turkey deli meat tastes good because they just salt that.
Are you
Like
saying
you
that
wouldn't
ham
believe.
isn't salted?
No, that's why ham tastes good too. It's super
No, but
salty.
that's what I'm saying. So like you can do the same thing. So I'm wondering if
the problem with Thanksgiving
it feels like
turkeys,
it's dry.
yeah, that's the problem. It's so dry.
No, but that's the same thing. People say they don't like chicken breast. It's like, stop overcooking
You know what?
chicken breast.
You know what food?
Chicken breast is easier to get right because turkey breast is like 4 times the size.
Yeah, it's
so
giant.
It's very difficult. To
You know
get
what
that
food
right.
descriptor is never a good descriptor of the food that you're eating is how dry it is. Oh man,
want
this
that
is so
moist meat,
dry.
man.
Yeah, moist is like it's basically directly correlated to deliciousness.
This does make me feel like I need to figure out how to cook turkey right. Because honestly, it's a ridiculous amount of meat. And if they just aren't cooking it right, and I haven't had the true, like, here's what turkey's supposed to taste like, then maybe that's the issue here.
Do you guys cook anything for your family, like Thanksgiving dinners?
I usually get requested desserts now.
Okay, that's great.
Past couple years, it's been the carrot cake.
What about you?
I started a feud with my father-in-law last year over this because I made coquito.
Okay, I remember that.
So coquito is like Puerto Rican eggnog, basically, and the
You
way
saved us a little bit, and it was very good.
yeah, the way he made it is he took like coconut rum and poured it in eggnog with some vodka and like shook it up, which is not good coquito.
It's got alcohol in it, though.
It's
Does it get the job done?
it's a drink, but it doesn't taste very good. So I looked up a recipe for like traditional coquito. How do you make it? What are the steps into it? And I made like traditional coquito, and it is really, really good.
That was really good. What you had?
And so I made traditional coquito, and I brought that, not thinking that he was going to bring his own concoction, and didn't realize that people were going to make it a competition, which happened. So I brought the coquito,
Part of the holidays.
and as soon as I brought it, someone was like, "Hey, Josh brought coquito. Let's see if it's better than Tito's," who's my father-in-law. So immediately it was like, whose is better?
Bum.
And as soon as people tried them side by side, they're like, this is no contest. Like, this is not even close. So the white guy showed up the Puerto Rican grandpa on the coquito competition that wasn't supposed to be a competition.
I feel like family
And I feel bad
squabbles are
about it.
part of it.
So I've been slowly,
But anyways, coquito is my
over
answer.
10 years trying to work my way up the hierarchy of Thanksgiving dishes to bring to Thanksgiving till one day I'm hoping to get the turkey.
yeah.
So that I will have to force myself to learn how to make a turkey
No,
and make it well.
I feel like there has to be a way, because I also heard that I've seriously, that exact same argument is why people don't like chicken breast. It's like, stop overcooking your chicken breast. It should not be dry and like a hockey puck. You have overcooked it. It's garbage. Cook it right. And so I wonder if I've just never had a turkey cooked right.
Have you ever had a well-done steak?
Not great.
It's bad. Have you ever had a well-done chicken breast? Every single time.
Yeah, every time. Unless I cook it myself.
Right. You know how you do it right? Temperature.
Yeah.
Thermometer. Then
Yeah.
you're golden.
No, yeah. Cook it fast.
But it does make
Cook
sense
it hard.
because it's
Right.
it's,
Right.
You can barely sear you can eat steak raw almost.
Yeah.
Well, you
it's-
can. I mean,
yeah.
it's tartar.
No,
So
but
it's-
still, it's overcooked every time. Even if you go to a steakhouse, it's overcooked.
I always order
Well, not
one
like a nice
under
one.
what I want
Yeah.
because
Yes.
they always overcook.
They overcook it.
So one of my goals as I've gotten older and become an old man and like a functioning adult in society is to have a dish that I can bring to like Thanksgiving or Christmas or any potluck. And that dish be the food equivalent of either crack cocaine or methamphetamines, where people, they know of it, and when they hear about it, they're going to get a portion that's about 2 to 3 times the size that they should get of it. And it's really unhealthy, but people just slam the entire thing and it's gone instantly. I want that dish. It doesn't have to be a certain category, but I want to have that signature dish where people know that if I bring that dish, you got to get it like as soon as it's put down or you're not going to get any.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I aspire to. And I don't know what that dish is going to be. I don't know what that signature thing is, but I think that's a really cool thing to have something that's like my signature dish is mac and cheese or barbecue tacos or strawberry lemonade. Like it could be
taters, mashed taters.
mashed potatoes are real good.
They are really good.
It's the same secret as my guacamole. It's a Mexican thing, man. It's a little bit of mayonnaise. It's the secret.
I heard that's a good secret to good strawberry lemonade as well. Just put a little bit of mayonnaise in it.
Delicious. Creamy.
Anything is a little bit better with a little bit of mayonnaise.
I mean, most things could benefit from a little bit more creaminess.
I mean, it's It really just, I would say,
Preach
it probably
it,
has to do with
brother.
the quantity. Because if you're going to put mayonnaise in my strawberry lemonade, it better be a little bit.
I can guarantee that you could make a coffee beverage with mayonnaise in it, and it would be amazing.
Yeah, but I guarantee you can over mayonnaise pretty much any dish.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Been
it's
there, done that too.
Yeah.
I think it's you're riding that delicate line. But I get what your point is, because I feel like I don't really have leftovers of the carrot cake, but still when I take it to like the huge family thing, they don't know my carrot cake yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But they'll learn it over time.
They'll learn it and they'll eat it. And they'll all get
But-
fatter with me because it like I have now
How many
made,
sticks of butter is in that thing?
Oh no, the bad part's the icing.
Yeah.
Like it's literally like 2 things of cream cheese, like a pound of powdered sugar, butter. It's like everything delicious and terrible for you, but you could like eat it with a spoon. You would die, but you could do it. It would taste good.
So the thing I've realized from our discussion here tonight is that I don't have the mental and emotional capacity to have a debate show every week. So huge props to these guys for putting this show out with the level of frequency that they do and having the tenacity to fight these fights every single week, because it can get exhausting.
Definitely. And I mean, it is a really fun show to listen to. Definitely check out the episode. They talk about karaoke. They talk about...
that was a good discussion as well.
They talk about really fun stuff. John Mayer gives his pitch for why everybody should love Bruce Springsteen. It's really cool, and they all kind of get in their wheelhouse a little bit about why you should like things, and they have really cool debates about things that kind of make sense to them. And I enjoyed the whole thing, and I knew that we like to argue sometimes, and so we wanted to argue with them.
Well, that brings me to our recommendation for next week. And that show is a show that I've recently found and have binge listened to so much recently. And it is Florida Men on Florida Man. That's the name of the show. And the episode that they're talking about, it's episode 50, Nickelodeon Studios. They talk about how amazing it was that we lived so close to this mecca. And I'm not going to lie, I am actually very upset with my parents that I was never on Nickelodeon because we were so close to it.
Yeah.
I should have been on Family Double there.
I definitely remember seeing Nickelodeon Studios and be like, what?
So that's the episode we're going to recommend for next week. Listen to it, enjoy it, and come back next week so we can discuss it.
And remember,
There's always more to discover.
thank you for listening to the Podcast Discovery Show. We have a few things we'd like to tell you. First, we would love to hear from you on Twitter at the PDS Official or in our Facebook group, the Podcast Discovery Club.
Secondly, leaving a rating or review on iTunes helps tremendously in giving us visibility and also visibility to the podcast that we recommend. You can also check out our Patreon page to get exclusive bloopers, old episode archives, and other exclusive content while supporting the show.
Finally, seriously, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you about what you love about podcasts. And thank you for being a part of all of the things that we do.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.